They fired Marcus Hale in front of everyone. The CEO didn't even let him finish his sentence. You made one mistake too many. The conference room went silent. Marcus looked around at the executives watching him. Some looked uncomfortable. Others were smiling. Victor Lang, the CEO, pushed the termination letter across the table. Hand over your badge. Marcus slowly reached into his pocket. He placed the badge on the table. Then he stood. No argument, no anger, no request for another chance. Victor leaned back, satisfied. That's what I thought. Marcus walked toward the elevator. Just before the doors closed, his phone rang. He answered quietly. Yes. A pause. Then he said, "They fired me." Another pause. Marcus looked back at the conference room. Don't do anything yet. The elevator doors closed. Victor smiled. He thought the problem was gone. He had no idea. Marcus had just made one call to the board. 3 weeks earlier, Marcus Hale had been at Langwell Industries for only 9 days. He rarely spoke unless he had a reason. That was exactly why people underestimated him. On his 9th day, Marcus was reviewing supplier payments when one number made him stop. A maintenance contract had been approved for $480,000. That wasn't just expensive, it was nearly double what another company had quoted for the exact same service. Marcus checked the figures twice. Then he found something worse. 6 days after the contract was fully paid, another payment had been authorized. He printed the records and took them straight to Victor Lang. Victor glanced at the first page. That's above your pay grade. Marcus remained calm. I understand. He turned toward the door, then stopped. One question. Victor looked up. Why was a second payment approved after the contract was already fully paid? Silence. Victor's expression hardened. Are you accusing someone? No. Marcus met his eyes. I'm trying to understand the numbers. Victor slowly closed the folder. Then understand this. He leaned back. Stay in your lane. Marcus nodded. Understood. And walked out. That evening, the office was almost empty. Marcus returned to his desk and immediately noticed something. A folded piece of paper sat beside his keyboard. It hadn't been there before. He opened it. 3 words. Stop digging, Marcus. Marcus looked toward the hallway. Empty. Then his eyes moved to the security camera above the door. Its red indicator was off. He folded the note and placed it beside the payment records. Now the numbers looked different. He wasn't asking who had made the mistake. He was asking who was trying to hide it. The next morning, Marcus arrived before everyone else. He placed the payment records on his desk and opened the company's supplier database. The maintenance company wasn't new. Langwell had been paying them for almost 4 years. But Marcus noticed something strange. Every year the contract had increased, while the actual work had decreased. He pulled up the service reports. Most were nearly identical. Same wording, same completion times, even the same inspection dates. Marcus leaned back. Then he noticed the approval signatures. The contracts weren't being approved by Victor Lang. They were being approved by someone 3 levels below him. Marcus searched the employee directory. The name belonged to Daniel Cross, a procurement manager who had resigned 8 months earlier. Marcus frowned. If Daniel had left the company 8 months ago, why was his authorization still appearing on payments made last month? Marcus opened the newest transaction. The approval timestamp appeared on the screen. 2:17 a.m. Marcus stared at it. Nobody in procurement worked at that hour. Then his computer screen suddenly went black. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. The system came back online. The payment record was gone. Marcus didn't move. Someone had just erased the evidence. While he was looking at it, Marcus didn't confront anyone. Not yet. Instead, he started with the one person whose name kept appearing in the records. Daniel Cross, the former procurement manager. Marcus searched through archived company reports and found an old internal memo. Daniel hadn't simply resigned. He had been removed from his position after questioning several supplier contracts. Marcus read the memo twice. Then he noticed something buried in the final paragraph. The investigation had been closed, without a conclusion. Marcus opened the archived contract files. 3 suppliers had been questioned. 2 were cleared. The third was the same company currently receiving Langwell's payments. Marcus leaned closer to the screen. Then he noticed a signature on the original contract. Victor Lang's name wasn't there. Neither was Daniel Cross's. The approval had been signed by someone else. Someone Marcus had never heard of. He searched the name. Nothing. No employee profile, no department, no company email. Nothing. Marcus sat back slowly. Then his phone vibrated. Unknown number. He answered. For several seconds there was only silence. Then a man's voice said quietly, "You should stop looking into Daniel Cross." Marcus didn't respond. The caller continued. "Some questions are better left unanswered." The line went dead. Marcus lowered the phone. He wasn't frightened. He was thinking. Because now he knew something important. Whoever had called him knew exactly what he was investigating. Marcus didn't call the number back. Instead, he went to the one place most employees never thought to look. The old procurement archive. If Daniel Cross had been investigating the contracts before he disappeared from Langwell's records, Marcus believed he might have left something behind. He searched through Daniel's archived reports. Most of the folders were empty. Then Marcus found one that hadn't been deleted. Inside was a single invoice, with a handwritten note attached. Marcus read it slowly. Ask why the payments never went directly to the supplier. He looked at the invoice again. The supplier's name was at the top, but the bank account receiving the money belonged to a different company. Marcus stopped breathing for a moment. He searched the company's registration. Created only 6 months before Daniel left Langwell. Registered address? An empty office building across town. Then Marcus saw the director's name. Victor Lang. He stared at it. No explanation, no accusation, just a name that suddenly appeared in the middle of everything he'd been investigating. Marcus printed the registration documents. For the first time, he had something he could prove. Then, a faint metallic click came from the hallway. Marcus looked toward the archive door. The lights outside moved beneath the gap. Someone had stopped there. Marcus quietly closed the folder. The door handle began to turn. And this time, Marcus wasn't sure whether whoever stood outside had come looking for Daniel's records, or for him. The door opened. It was Victor. Marcus kept his expression neutral. Victor glanced at the folders on the table. What are you doing here? Reviewing archived procurement records. Victor's eyes moved to the documents in Marcus's hand. You were told to stay out of this. Marcus closed the folder. I was told to stay in my lane. Victor smiled. Then stay there. He turned to leave. Marcus waited until the footsteps disappeared. Then he looked at the registration document again. Victor hadn't asked what Marcus had found. He hadn't asked whose name was on the document. He'd only asked what Marcus was doing in the archive. That bothered Marcus more than the threat, because it meant Victor already knew exactly where to look. Marcus returned to his desk and compared the supplier payments with the company registration. The numbers matched. Every suspicious payment had passed through the same hidden company. Then Marcus found one final transaction. It wasn't a payment. It was a transfer. The recipient wasn't a supplier. It was a private account. Marcus stared at the account holder's name, Daniel Cross, the former procurement manager. Daniel hadn't disappeared from the investigation. He had been receiving the money. Or someone had been using his name. Marcus opened the archived resignation file. The signature on it didn't match Daniel's signature from the original contracts. Marcus slowly leaned back. Someone hadn't simply hidden the money, they had built a trail designed to make Daniel take the blame, and Marcus suddenly understood why Daniel had been removed. He hadn't been caught. He had been framed. Marcus reached for his phone. Before he could make the call, it rang. Unknown number. This time, Marcus answered. A voice said only 4 words. "You found the wrong file." The call ended. Marcus looked at the evidence on his desk, then at the locked office door. Someone wasn't trying to scare him anymore. They were telling him. They knew exactly what he had found. Marcus didn't call the number back. Instead, he opened Daniel Cross's original procurement files one more time. Something was wrong with the dates. The first suspicious payment had been approved 3 days before Daniel's supposed resignation. Marcus checked the resignation document, then the payment authorization. The signatures looked almost identical, but one wasn't Daniel's. Marcus pulled up the approval history. One name appeared again and again. Victor Lang. But Victor wasn't the final approver. Someone else had authorized the transfers through Langwell's internal compliance account. Marcus had never seen the account before. He checked its access history. The account had been used from the executive floor late at night. Then Marcus noticed something worse. 2 minutes later, the same account had accessed Daniel's personnel file. Marcus leaned back slowly. Daniel hadn't simply been blamed for the missing money. Someone had prepared the evidence against him. Marcus saved copies of the records. Then his phone vibrated. An unknown message appeared. "Leave Langwell before Friday." Marcus stared at the screen. For a moment, he said nothing. Then he placed the phone beside the evidence. No panic. No call for help. Just a quiet realization. They had given him a deadline. And now, Marcus knew exactly how much time he had. By Thursday morning, Marcus had stopped studying the payments. He was studying the people who had approved them. 3 names appeared across the records. Victor Lang, a former compliance officer, and the chairman's executive assistant. Marcus noticed something strange. All 3 had accessed the same confidential file, Daniel Cross's original investigation, but that file had officially been deleted. Marcus checked the archive. The deletion had happened just minutes after the compliance account accessed Daniel's personnel record. Then he noticed the authorization. It wasn't Victor. It wasn't the compliance officer. It came from an account belonging to the chairman's office. Marcus sat completely still. For the first time, the trail had reached somewhere he hadn't expected. He printed the access record, folded it carefully, and slipped it inside his jacket. His phone rang. Victor Lang. Marcus looked toward the glass wall. Victor was already watching him. "Come to my office." Marcus slowly stood. As he walked across the floor, he realized something. The deadline wasn't really Friday. It was now. Marcus never forgot the warning, but he also never forgot why he started looking. Daniel Cross had been blamed for a crime he didn't commit. And Marcus refused to let another lie become the truth. The evidence was exposed. The records were restored. And the people who manipulated them were finally forced to answer. Marcus didn't need revenge. He only needed the truth to speak for itself, because sometimes the quietest person in the room is the one who notices everything. And when the truth finally comes out, there is nowhere left for the powerful to hide. This is Revenge Diary, where silence becomes strength and truth becomes justice. If you enjoy stories of silent strength, hidden truth, and unforgettable twists, stay with us for the next one.